Okay, so let's look down here, and this is why everybody's doing this, because here's that actuator. This is the actuator. This is the culprit. When mine was doing it, just kept cycling because if you can see right there, it cracked. Cracked all the way through. So what's happening is as it hits the end, it just keeps doing this, going back and forth. So it will not close all the way, and it just keeps trying to go further and further because that crack keeps spreading. Now, I've heard success stories where people took these apart and just glued that, which after looking at everything like this, I wasn't going to take the chance and have to do this all over again, but I heard people had success with that. So I just went and got a new one and put it in. And let me show you all the tools that I needed for doing this. I need a mirror, 2 mirrors, yeah, I cracked one, but still need a mirror, flashlight, screwdriver. I got my short extension with a 10mm, my 10mm ratchet, and this little thing here, speed ratchet with a 5.5, because the screws on the actuator itself are 5.5, while the only other 4 screws that I had to take out were 10mm that hold the airbag in. And also needed a cloth and some bubble wrap, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Now, this video is actually, as you can probably see, after all this is already kind of taken care of, because I got it in there and I didn't know if it would work or not, so I didn't film the whole thing. But all I had to do was take out the airbag. So when you do this, you start with pulling out the vents. Now the vents do separate. You can take the front part off first, or both, and these are stuck together, but some of them come out where just the front vent will come out, and then that gives you access. And what that gives you access to is on the back of the airbag here, there's a 10mm bolt that's right around here on this bracket, right back there. You can kind of see the hole through there, and it's so you can get in there and access that 10mm. Now there's one on that side, taking out this air vent, and there's one over on this side also. So once you get those 2 out, then all you have to do is come down to the glove box, open up your glove box right on the right side here. It's a little latch, just let it hang down, it's not going to hurt anything. And then you go under here, and there's going to be 2 more of those 10mm screws. One over on this side, and one over on the right side over here. Once you get those out, then all you have to do is reach behind under here, reach behind underneath here through the glove box and start pushing. Now it's a little tough to get the airbag out. It's a little tough. You have to keep pushing and moving it. Mine's coming out free because I already got, of course, like I said, got it out. Now I'm doing this with one hand, so it's a little difficult. I didn't detach the airbag. I left it attached, and it'll pull out like this, and then all you have to do, sorry about that, all you have to do is just lean it up on your seat. Okay, this is what I was worried about, getting the wires. That's why I used the bubble wrap, and I wrapped it around the wire just so nothing will cut the airbag wire or anything like that, or damage it or abrase it or anything like that, because those things can be tricky. Because if you do damage to those, then of course you're gonna have to replace them and all that. So, and I didn't have to disconnect it. All I did was way back here, it was attached back here to this bracket. I just popped it off the bracket so I could have more room, because right back there, you'll be able to see in just a minute here, is the actuator. Actuator is shoved right back up there. See that green wire and nut that goes up to it, and it activates that right there, which is your refresh and air circulation door. Now let me show you how that works. Okay, so I turn the air on. It's on right now. It's on outside air. Now if I switch it to recirculate, you'll notice there it goes. I don't know how you can see it. I can see it pretty good. There he goes, all the way up. Now what mine was doing before, it would go up just about to the end, and then it would start cycling because that actuator I showed you earlier had broken. So now that's in there and fixed, it works great. And you know, shut it off and it comes back down. Now, the thing about this is, you know, I have, you know, not very thick arms or hands, smaller hands. So if you got bigger arms and hands, you may not be able to do it this way because you got to try to get between this metal bracket and this plastic tubing. This is your air vent tubing. So that's what holds or circulates the air and stuff like that. But it's locked in there good. It's nice and tight and sturdy. But to show you what I did with that, just to give me a little extra room, I took my breaker bar here, well, my pry bar rather, or breaker bar, whichever you want to use, and I put it over top of this, and you can see that flexes. Now I did one on that side and one on this side just to give me, you know, just an inch, maybe 2 inches when I had it pried all the way down. And you know, the way I did that, instead of holding on to it from back here on this handle, what I did is I put one of my weights in a bag, you know, one of those shopping bags, you know, the real good ones, you know, and suspended it on here. So it pried it up for me, so I had both my hands free and I wasn't having to try to do that under my arm or something like that. And it worked. It helped me to be able to get my hand way back in here, because if you can see where my fingers are, that's where the screws are. There's one on the right side and one on the left side. And if you look at the actuator, I'll show you the actuator here. It'll be this one and this one. And the way this thing's angled is, if you look where the electrical connector is, you can see how it's angled. And you have to look on yours, but I'm pretty sure they're all the same. It's something like relative to this. So you have to go way over here to get this one and way up top to get this one. To pry those out. Now what I used for that was my handy little tool like this. So I could get way back in there, and this is just the ratcheting end with the 5.5 on it. And I got it back there and slowly worked it loose. Once I got it loose a couple turns, I was able to just stick the socket end in there and twist it out. Now, you know, just be careful with those because you don't want those dropping. If you have to, what I, you know, have done in the past, I actually attached a small magnet to the side of this because these ones aren't magnetic. I do have magnetics, but I only have a 5 magnetic. I don't have a 5.5. So I just put a small magnet on the side of this, and it helped to hold it so I could twist it out the rest of the way, and then I wouldn't lose it or drop it, because, I mean, it could go just about anywhere. Who knows? You know how that goes. And then same thing on the other side, just get it back there. You got to get your hand way back in there, so, and then move your fingers, you know, and it's really small and tight, but like I said, with this pry bar in here, if you're doing the pry bar like this, and you can actually see it, I'll show you. You can kind of see it moving up and down. You know, it moves everything because it's all attached, and the only way to remove that is probably why people were taking the whole dash apart, is because to remove that, it's up on top. It looks like there's some screws or something. I can't really tell. And the one person cut it in half, I really don't know about that, because, you know, you can tape those back, glue them, or whatever you want to do if you want to, but it's really tight right here to do something like that. I mean, I can't even get my fingers really behind this thing very well. So if you want to do that, you can try that, but this is the way I did it. Like I said, and I put the bubble wrap underneath the wires here to keep them from scraping or anything when I was moving around, and just use mirrors so I could get an angle and see everything. And then, like I said, you got the 10 millimeter, which is it'll come right through here on the right side, 10 millimeter on the left side, and right here, right side 10 millimeter, left side 10 millimeter, and you just get that from up through here, reaching up through here. Now, one thing I do recommend is you disconnect the wire for your glove box, because this light will stay on, and if you're in here quite a while and stuff like that, or if you leave the glove box open all overnight, and if you have other stuff to do and you're working this in between, then you're going to want to disconnect that. But I mean, it wasn't super hard. The hardest thing was getting my hand back there, but once I figured out I could move that air ducting just up a little bit, it was just enough so I can get my hands back in there. Like I said, I've got smaller hands. I don't know how big everybody's hands are. It looks big on here, but they're not super big. Probably in between or something like that. Not super thick and chunky or anything. So that was the way I did it. I mean, and it works. And I just got to put this thing back together. The other thing is when you put it back together is like, you know, you'll have to tuck the airbag just the edges around into here, and that's it. You know, because it has to pull out a little bit because it's lipped under. The lips of the airbag go under these, right behind the air vent holders, and you know, the upper part of the dash and lower part that attaches to the glove box. So you'll have to move that. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't really super difficult. Of course, that is because I had the tools. I used this 10 millimeter in here when I went through the air vents like this to get to the 10 millimeter nut over here. So I did have a ratcheting tool and a small one that bends. And then, like I said, I did use this simple little tool here, you know, small head ratchet with a 5.5 on it. You know, that just made it way easier. And as far as everything else, like I said, all it is you just pull it out. You know, the air vents, you know, they go in and out like this and they just pop out. So all you have to do is just, you know, get a screwdriver on the side of them and pop them out. Like I said, sometimes these don't have the strips on them anymore, and the front vent will come off, and then you're like, oh, I can't get to the nut. But no, if you pull it all the way out, if you can see back here, all it does, it just slides into that vent area back there. So it'll be really easy, just pull it in and out like that. But hopefully this helps somebody to give it a try and see what you think. It saved me a lot of time because I did not want to take the whole dash off and then worry about, because I got a couple little cracks and stuff like that up there. I was worried that I wouldn't break, that it would break or something like that. But at the same time, I just tried a shortcut and this seemed to work. So good luck. Give it a try. Okay, one more thing I just wanted to add on the end of this, little extra tip, stuff like that. When you're doing your actuator, what I found out is if you set the actuator so it's in the middle, that little long one right there is the best way to get it in and out, because what happens is when you put it too far to one side or the other, and it's hard to hold it in that position. So what you want to do is on the back side of this and this actuator is you're going to set, if I can get it to do it with one hand, you're going to set that little notch right in the middle there. And what that does, it allows that, because natural gravity is going to allow that vent closure back there to hang in the middle. Otherwise you have to hold it closed up or closed down, which is very difficult to do. I could hold it closed up with a long screwdriver by wedging it way back in there, but down you'd have to pull it on something. But if you leave it in the middle, and make sure you grease the inside of this little bracket here or knob, it'll make it slide on a lot easier, because it's metal on metal and it's new and stuff like that, and it hasn't been greased in a while. It could get stuck at an angle and stuff like that. But once you do that, you should be able to slide it up in there and get it right on there and push it on, and then it lock it in place. Once you get it on that little nub, the plastic nub at the bottom here, it'll lock it in place, and then all you have to do is get your screws in. So that was just an extra little tidbit I just thought about just before I made this video, so add it on the end. Once again, thanks a lot for watching and good luck with it.